We'll be starting in about 2 minutes if you're already out here early. If you have a strap today, it would be nice for just one pose in the end, in addition to the traditional poses that we might need it for, like Gomukhasana, and a block. We'll be starting in Virasana, so a block underneath the hips is always nice, like that. And I'll repeat that, but just in case you need to run to another part of your house to grab that, this is a good time to do that. We'll be starting in about 20 seconds to be exact. So again, strap, small or large. Actually, you'll want the long one for this last pose that we're going to do. But otherwise, a small one for Gomukhasana is good. And a block or some other item to put underneath your hips. And we'll start like that. So the block, basically, in the beginning anyway, is meant if you need it for the pose Virasana. You would have it likely going the long way and sitting down on top of it like this. Such a good prop for allowing the pelvis to come into this forward tilt. Now some of us may not need it, and if that's the case, you'll just be on the floor like this. But do take note, because if you start to see that the back is rounding here and you're rolling the pelvis in the opposite direction, go ahead and sit on the block. It makes it nice and comfy. And just come into a place where you can place the hands palm down onto your knees. The knees don't have to be together. Ideally, one day the posture is such that the knees do come towards each other. The pinky toes are going towards the floor, and the ankles are hugging in towards the outer hips. But again, if all of that stuff is no good, there's nothing wrong with wide knees. Placing hands down, finding a tall spine, set your gaze down, maybe even closing the eyes, and just start Ujjayi breathing in and out through the nose. We're in the very last section of this book, Happiness is an Inside Job, by Sylvia Boorstein. And I really recommend it, especially if you're like me and you like things put into simple terms. She makes it so accessible to understand things. At any rate, she's talking about wise concentration now. And if you recall, last week we talked about wise mindfulness. And in wise mindfulness, we discovered that this idea of metta as a practice of wise mindfulness, that's loving kindness, in a repeated fashion draws the mind into this benevolent place. And she said it so clearly and so simply. You can't have two thoughts at the same time. If you're offering metta, if you're offering loving kindness, you can't be thinking mean thoughts about someone. So this idea of praying or meditating and offering good, loving kindness towards people is very important, because it will establish a new groove in your brain, in your mind, and that will be one of benevolence. So now what Sylvia Boorstein's telling us is that whenever you have a challenge, even a small one, and I might be taking a risk here, but I don't think so. I think we're in the midst of a very big challenge right now in our world. But it's a potential cause for confusion. The mind, startled by the dilemma, as she calls it, starts to leap immediately forward into what is considered probably a favorite place for us, or a habitual response. And in this place, it becomes a coping style. It's just something we're used to. So here is where she describes Buddha's, they're called kileshas in the Pali language. In Sanskrit, you may be more familiar with klesha. It's basically the same thing. They're hindrances, roadblocks. And Buddha describes 5 of them. It's desire, anger, fatigue, worry, and doubt. And these are all habit patterns that we can change at any time with enough practice. And so what Sylvia Boorstein's telling us is that we respond spontaneously and we automatically go to this innate place. So for instance, for me, it's a worry. I'm a worry person. For you, it might be anger. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say them again so you can kind of pick one. The only reason we're picking one is to offer this practice of concentration. So desire, anger, fatigue, worry, and doubt. Try to think of what group you may fall into naturally, and just being aware of this and concentrating on it when you start to see it pop up is enough to start making the habit change. She goes on to tell us that these hinder the mind's capacity to clearly assess what's happening. They ruffle the mind's surface. And if that sounds familiar to you, it should, because that is very much what our Yoga Sutra by Patanjali says in the verse 2. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind. So we want to come into this still place with concentration. Lastly, she tells us that concentration dissolves these hindrances, these 5 kileshas. When the mind is concentrated, deeply relaxed and steady, filled with warm intention, upsetting thoughts and feelings arise, but they don't stick. And that is the big point. We're going to all have these moments of disruption, but the idea is with constant practice and shifting the habit, we come into a place where they'll come back to us, these moments, but they won't stick. All right, let's come on up. Just lift up for a second so you can relieve your knees. Maybe paddle your feet out. Just be mindful because there's a little angle with your knees to your feet. And we'll come right back to where we were. This time interlacing right thumb on top, and then pop the palms forward towards your screen. As you inhale, pull the shoulders back. As you exhale, reach the palms forward, pulling the belly in. 2 more times. Inhale to expand. Exhale to reach. 1 more. Inhale, open by drawing shoulders back. And then exhale, push the arms forward, pull the belly in. See if you can leave your interlaced fingers as we lift up tall here. Big inhale. Pay close attention to left hip as you exhale, bow off to the right side. So you want to make sure that this left hip isn't coming up. That's important to keep that base. In other words, back out if you need to maintain the integrity of the pose. Lift back up, release hands behind you. We'll come back into an interlaced hand, right thumb on top again. Shrug the shoulders up and back and then expand your heart. So we're thinking of taking the physical heart big so that the rest of the heart, metaphorically, can be open up so we can offer loving kindness to every single being out there. Now keeping your interlaced fingers, but not for long, start to come up a little bit. We're going to hinge forward as we lift the seat. So be careful here and pay attention in case you lose your balance. And then just release the hands to the floor. You can leave the block where it is for now. Just separate your knees around it. Inhale, expand your heart for a cow pose. And then exhale, contract for cat. And 2 more like that. Inhale, expand your heart, opening up. And exhale, round it out. Take 1 more. Think of filling up with love. And on the out breath, think of giving it to every being, not just the nice ones. They get it too, but we have to offer it to the ones we don't like. Tuck your little toes, come on up, downward facing dog, pedal it out a little bit. Just find some movement, especially because we had the knees all crunched up. We'll take about 2 more breaths here. And then you decide if you want to drop to knees for chaturanga, or if you want to just come forward into regular plank. Maybe hold there. If you're moving on, let's go ahead and lower down. Lift your heart coming up, up dog or cobra. Take it back up to downward facing dog. Just 1 breath. And now mindfully return to Virasana, whichever form you like, with or without the block. Interlace left thumb on top. Pop the palms forward. Inhale, expand by drawing shoulders back. Exhale, contract. Pulling the belly in as it rounds. Inhale, open up and broaden. And then exhale, reach forward. And we have one more. Take it back and reach it forward. Nice big stretch here. Keeping the hands interlaced, lift up over the head. Again, pay attention to right hip this time as we bow off to the left side. So we don't want that right hip lifting, particularly if you're on a block, it's easier to lift. So pay attention. Coming right back up, arms behind you, left thumb on top, shoulders shrug, open up here. Think of expanding the heart, expanding your love, expanding the people to whom you give it. And now releasing. So be mindful here. We hinge. At some point you come up a little bit off of the hips, off the heels, excuse me, and then come back all fours. Preparation for cat-cow. This time we'll add dynamic, and we'll do it with razor's edge if you can. If not, tuck the toes under and lift an inch. Otherwise, see if you can leave the top of the feet on the mat and lift an inch off the floor. Inhale, expand, cow pose. Keep your knees exactly where they are. Exhale, contract, tuck and round. 2 more like that. Inhale to expand, and then exhale, contract. And let's take 1 more. Expand and contract. You may have to come down if you like to tuck the toes. Otherwise, just take it right up into downward facing dog. And eventually we all meet in regular downward facing dog. Pedal it out again. We'll start to build some heat in just a moment. Hinge forward. Choose the best way for you to lower or not. Coming up, up dog or cobra. And downward facing dog again. Inhale and exhale. So start to think when thoughts come into you, even in these physical postures, or especially in these physical postures, it's a great place to start to recognize what you habitually go to when things aren't exactly going the way you like. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop it up. Coming up halfway when you get there. And now exhale, let it all go, forward fold. Inhale to standing, arms come with you, nice stretch, maybe adding a tiny back bend. Pull your belly in strong, exhale, hinge forward. Inhale for half lift, exhale again, we step or hop it back, straight through chaturanga if you're moving on. Up dog, maybe cobra today, and downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale. Right leg forward, low lunge position. We'll drop to left knee. Inhale, scoop up. Exhale, prayer twist to the right. Inhale, we come right back to center. Exhale, hinge over right leg. Inhale, half lift, all fours. Exhale, squeeze elbows in. We lower chin, chest, and knees. Inhale, little cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. 1 breath in. 1 breath out. Left leg forward, low lunge position, right knee down. Working with breath. Inhale, lift up to fill up. Exhale, prayer twist left. Inhale back to center. Exhale over left extended leg. Inhale, come back up, all fours. Elbows squeeze in on the out breath, lower chin and chest. Scoop through mini cobra pose. And right back up, downward facing dog, holding here. So as you start to recognize what your default klesha is, if you will, then you can start to take action to change it. So I'm a big worrier. When I start to see worry come up, I've gotten to a point, and Silva Bornstein says the same thing, where we kind of laugh at it. I say to myself, oh gosh, here comes that crazy story again. And I kind of let it go. Bend your knees, look forward. Step or hop it up. Exhale, release. Inhale, standing, arms come with you, nice big stretch. Let's do 1 more, strong belly, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift it up halfway, fill up here. Keep the length as you exhale, step or hop it back. either hanging out in plank, lowering the knees, or chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. And let's start left side this time. Left leg comes forward. We're in high lunge position. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, prayer twist left. Inhale, back to center, straight legs. Exhale over left leg. Inhale, half lift. Send left leg back for your descent. 1 or 2 legs to take it down. 1 or 2-legged up dog or cobra. And then 1-legged downward facing dog. Left leg. Lift it up. And release. Downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Right leg comes forward. High lunge position. So we work with breath on this. Inhale, we lift up and fill up. Exhale, prayer twist right. Inhale, coming back to center, straightening the legs. Exhale over right leg. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, right leg back for a 1 or 2-legged descent. Coming forward, lowering down, 1 or 2 legs. 1 or 2-legged up dog or cobra. And now 1-legged dog. Right leg lifts as you come back, lift the leg. And replace. Going right back to Ujjayi breath. So just the way that a metta practice can repeatedly turn us into a benevolent thinker in our mind, so can we change the habits that we naturally default to. First, we have to be aware of them, and then we concentrate on changing them. Bend the knees, look forward, step or hop it up. Come up halfway. Exhale, release forward again. And then inhale, take it all the way up to standing. And let's add back bend here. So once you're up, stay up if you like, or take your hands to your hips. Roll the shoulders up and back. Push the hips forward. Weights in the heels here. By shifting the weight back into the heels, then you can kind of counterbalance by allowing the hips and the pelvis to come in front of the knee line. One more breath. And we take it right back up. Coming to standing, draw the hands to your heart. See if you can set gaze down or close your eyes and be aware of your breath. Be aware of how it travels. Be aware of your body. And start expanding that sense of awareness. In the same light, we take in all the love for ourselves, for our dear ones. And then we start expanding that to the neutral people. And maybe even to the people we think we don't like. Just offering love, expanding forever. And coming right back to center. Open your eyes if they were closed, lift your gaze. Inhale, arms come up, stretch it out. Exhale, hinge forward. Half lift, fill up. Exhale, step or hop it back all the way through chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. All right, let's start right leg. Right leg lifts. We're going to stack the hips and bend the knees. So right here may be perfect. Lift your head, look over your left shoulder. If you're flipping or side planking today, go for that now. Otherwise, hanging out in whatever spot feels good. All right, let's come on back. Keeping the right leg lifted, we'll go underneath. So we're taking the right leg under our body, pointing both toes to the left. If it's okay, left arm lifts. Big expansion here. Keep the right leg where it is and drop the left hand. So we're in cross-legged plank pose. I like to draw my feet a little closer together here. Hinge forward into plank if you're not already, and hover here if you want to try 1, 2, or 3 cross-legged chaturangas. Go for it. Just pay attention. There's a slight discrepancy in weight, so one shoulder will take more of the weight than the other. And wherever you are, we meet back in that cross-legged plank. Right knee to nose, forward in plank. So there's a tuck and round here. Exhale, one-legged dog, send it back. Inhale, knee to nose, forward in plank. So feel the pull, tuck and round. Exhale, back to one-legged dog. Now this last one, we come forward, tuck and round. Now hover and hold. You want to feel space being created by pulling the belly in and the spine lifts. Plant the right foot between the hands. Drop to left knee, releasing left toes. All right, before you start to move, just take a little look and see what feels good for you. This is how we find our wisdom, which is already there, but we've got the rest of the mind so cluttered that we can't see it. So we work with this physical place, and hopefully that teaches us in the rest of our life. So if you're super square here, you probably know that's not going to work for you. So go a little bit longer and maybe a little bit wider. A big inhale, lift it up. Maybe flipping the palms towards the back of the room as you open your big heart, pulling the right hip crease back. Now come up to a more neutral spine. We'll take the left hand to the head. So I have the palm of the hand at my head, right hand, palm to the sacrum, but palm is facing out. Now expand your elbows, open up and find that same back bend you were just in. Pull the belly in a little bit, pull the rib cage in. Feel as if you're resting your head in your hand. And then release back to neutral. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, prayer twist right. Here we'll hold, so find a place to stack right shoulder on top of left. Keep the right hip crease working back. And ideally one day, the thumbs, instead of being riding up into this right armpit, you'll be able to push down, twist, and take thumbs to the center heart. Let's take one more breath. Now unfurl, taking it right back up. I'd have a block handy for in just a moment, so keep one block handy. And here we'll exhale over right leg. Extending long, just finding a nice big stretch. We'll have another opportunity for Hanuman, but go into the space that feels good for you. Working with your knowledge breath. Each time we breathe in, we pay attention to the subtle or not so subtle messages coming through. Then on the out breath, we work accordingly. And if you have your block, go ahead and grab it. We're going to come into half Virasana, much like what we were in, but we'll extend the right leg long. Be careful how you come down. If you plop down, you can hurt your left knee. So go mindfully and slowly. So once you get here, if it's not good for you, then skip that left leg. Just flip it around the other way. It's okay. All right, otherwise you're sitting on the block, lifted hips, pulling right toes back. Inhale, lift up. We'll take our tented fingertips out to the side so they're wide and high, so we have lots of movement in the shoulders. Inhale, lift. Flat back as you exhale, open mouth. Inhale, tuck the chin, round the spine to come up. Now think of letting go of maybe today it's fear. Inhale, roll it up. Maybe we're all angry right now. Just let something go. And now make your way back up. And again, just as mindfully as we went down, we'll return to that low lunge position, rebending the right knee. All right, tucking left toes under, but don't come up high. We're just going to hover the left knee above the mat, lift up, Gomukhasana arms, left arms patting on the back. So if that's it for Gomukhasana, perfect. Grab your strap or just take your hand to your sacrum. Maybe you're taking hand to the elbow. 8 little pumps here. So up, down, 2, 3. Think of driving the knee down and lifting up with the elbow. 7 and 8. Lift it up. Mindfully release everything. Pivot open to your left. Wide legs, yoga squat. So when you come down into your squat, just pay attention that the knees are in the same line as the toes. If they won't go there, then narrow it out a little bit. All right, you'll eventually find the nice spot that's good for you. Hands up, nice and high. So we're looking for triceps parallel to the floor. Set a drishti, pull your belly in, nice wide fingertips. And we do 8 calf raises. Up, down, 2, 3. Nothing else moves. 5. Really good for inner thighs as well as calves. 7. Last one. 8. Hover and hold. Sink down. and release. Coming up to standing, pivot both toes center, roll the shoulders up and back. Exhale, hinge forward. So we'll just make this a feel-good moment. Want to make sure our hips are right over the heels. Cross the arms and let the head be heavy. Pull the belly in and find your Ujjayi breath. Now paying attention to your low back. If you think it might feel good to take the tiniest sway, try a little bit nice and slowly. Keep the belly in. That's going to help if the back decides it doesn't like this. Go mindfully because the back doesn't give you much time in movements like this if it doesn't like it. Just finding a little sway. Excuse me. And let's come back to center. Lift up halfway. Hands to the hips, acclimating breath. And then come all the way back up. All right, we'll pivot back to the front. Right leg is in front. Step the left leg out a little bit so we're coming into Virabhadrasana A, Warrior One. Trying to find that place where the right thigh is coming towards parallel, left pinky toe on the floor, both hips are looking towards the front. Big inhale, lifting up. Flip the palms to face behind you again. Opening up your big heart. All right, let's come back into Gomukhasana arms. Pat yourself on the back with left hand, strap or maybe just hand at the sacrum, or again, hand can be at the elbow. Already paying attention to right knee, it might want to collapse in. Your job is to keep it exactly where it is. Come up for straight legs, leading with left elbow. Inhale here, and exhale, hinge forward. So avoid trying to twist to the right. I do it too, but if you think about it, if we're going straight down, then the right chest is over the right leg. And the left arm is just hovering on the inside. Pull the right hip crease back. It's way different when we don't have our hands on the floor to help us. Take another breath. Inhale, come back up and re-bend the right knee. We're moving into standing Gomukhasana. So we'll swing the left leg around. It's like an eagle pose. And if you can, try to stay on the top of the left foot. If not, go ahead and bend the toes. That's fine. But we find a nice big squat here. Now look at your left hip or feel your left hip. Lift it up to be even with the right hip. Pull the belly in. Nice big inhale here. If you're on the top of your left foot, pay special attention as we hinge forward. There's a sense of balance that gets lost here. It's a little easier to balance if you have tucked toe. Take another breath. Start to make your way back up. As you come up, release the arms, left knee to nose. Excuse me. We're moving into Warrior Three. Left leg is back, internal rotation, left thigh, body and leg in one line. All right, here we come into floating half moon. So right hand starts to make its way towards the floor, but don't touch. Just see if you can find this hovering place, lifting left shoulder up to stack on top of the right. Take another big breath. And then tilt all the way back like Warrior Two, but we'll go into reverse. Left arm drops down, right arm over the right ear. If it's super easy for you, then think about dropping the right hip a little more so that right thigh comes parallel to the floor. One more big breath. And then make your way back up. Straight legs, step left leg out, returning to the front of the room. Arms come up, big inhale here, straight legs this time. Exhale, hinge over right leg. So just like what we did, but with our Gomukhasana arm. We're going to add a little different element to it. If your hands touch the floor, that's great. If they don't, maybe you can have the block about a foot in front of your right toes to let your hands rest on the block and then drop the head down. So this is a really nice shoulder opener. If you extend the arms and the head comes between. Taking another big breath. Standing splits, left leg lifts. And we'll move into bent leg in just a